The night ends, and when we awake, there is morning on the hill. The earth seems secure and everlasting. We see the familiar shape of the world and the horizon. To us, it has been the same forever. But underfoot, below the warm fields, the earth itself is changing. We live on a thin crust over a burning globe. The ground moves. The earth is alive. The crust is broken by repeated earthquakes. The earth that was hidden 50 miles below, thrown up as burning lava, liquid stone. So the earth is changed by violence. The new earth cools, while slower forces act on the surface. Sandstone, limestone, granite are split apart by frost, sunlight, and wind. And above the crust, the miles of air itself turn in the sky and strike down at the fertile soil on which we grow our food, and change the living fields into desert, and uproot the earth with hurricanes and floods. Yet of all the storms, tides, winds, convulsions of rock, there was always another force more silent and powerful. Long ago, 500 centuries ago, before the first words of history, great sheets of ice covered 1/5 of the dry land. In the desolate valleys, the hairy mammoth, the saber-toothed tiger were pursued by growing cold, and unknown mammals died in the frozen marshes. The forms of life were changing everywhere. It was in this age that the race of man, a restless, large-brained animal, first mastered the use of fire, warming himself against a lifelong cold. He remained alive below the edge of the endless winter. Behind him, the snow rose up into a mound of ice that crept outward and spread death across the flowering plains, advancing, shrinking back, advancing again. It formed a moving desert, covering hills and forests, weighing down the crust of the earth. Northern Europe and America were changed and molded by these sheets of ice. From a center 2 miles thick, the ice flowed outward and reshaped the surface of the earth, and where it flowed there was nothing left alive. Then, over the edge of the ice sheet, warmer winds began to blow, the ice age slowly yielding century after century. Century after century, a great, slow spring began to return. The earth struggled to free itself from the volume of frozen water, and the climate changed, and the ice age gave way at last in the sunlight of 30,000 years. The vast ice sheet retreated, the caps of ice disappearing into waterfalls, cascading downward across all those dead cliffs and dead years. And slowly, life returned and took hold again on the ledges and crevices of bare rock. Invisible spores and seeds, feeding on mist and air and the cool stone. and the birds returned to fly in the sunlight. So began a new spring and a strange new life. And where the ice had been so many thousands of years, there were valleys filled with evergreen, and all the voices and flowers of life, while far above the mountains still wore their ice and snow. They too were sculptured by the age-long movement of frozen water. We live still in that springtime after the last age of ice. Its force had carried boulders, had left the grooved and curving rocks of Scotland, Norway, Wisconsin, New England. It formed the landscape we see about us today when we walk or drive, the soft, round, fertile hills of our own earth, on which the white flood once rested.